Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle of suffering, wondering if there's any way out? Whether it's stress at work, a toxic relationship, or just the weight of daily life, suffering often feels inevitable. But what if I told you that suffering isn't something that just happens to you? It's something you can choose to stop? Research shows that while pain is unavoidable, suffering is optional because it's rooted in how we interpret and respond to challenges. Think about it. Two people can face the same hardship, but one might crumble under the pressure while the other emerges stronger. So, why do some people suffer more than others? And how can you take control of your mindset? In this video, we'll explore the psychology of suffering, uncover practical tools to break free from unnecessary pain, and empower you to make choices that lead to a happier, more fulfilling life. By the end, you'll have actionable strategies to transform your perspective and reclaim your peace of mind. First, let's understand the difference between pain and suffering and why it matters. Pain is an inevitable part of life. It's the body's natural response to injury, loss, or adversity. Suffering, on the other hand, is the story we tell ourselves about that pain. A study published in Psychological Science found that people who ruminate on negative thoughts or catastrophize their problems experience significantly more suffering than those who reframe their experiences positively. For example, imagine losing your job. The pain of unemployment is real, but the suffering comes from thoughts like, "I'll never find another job," or "This means I'm a failure." These narratives amplify the initial pain, turning it into prolonged suffering. Think of pain as rain. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. Suffering, however, is like standing in the rain and refusing to seek shelter. You have the power to step under an umbrella or find cover, but many of us stay in the storm because we're conditioned to believe we deserve it. This distinction is crucial because it shifts the focus from external circumstances to internal choices. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, famously said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is where freedom lies. The freedom to decide whether to suffer or not." Personal anecdotes highlight this principle. Take Alex, a former client of mine who struggled with chronic anxiety. After years of blaming his circumstances for his unhappiness, he realized that his suffering stemmed from his inability to let go of perfectionism. Once he started practicing self-compassion and focusing on progress rather than perfection, his suffering diminished significantly. Stories like Alex's remind us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond, and CI of mind. Second, let's explore the psychological mechanisms that keep us trapped in suffering. One of the main reasons people remain stuck in suffering is cognitive distortions, irrational thought patterns that exaggerate or misinterpret reality. Common distortions include all or nothing thinking, "If I'm not perfect, I'm a failure," overgeneralization, "This always happens to me," and emotional reasoning, "I feel worthless, so I must be." These distortions act like mental filters, distorting our perception of reality and amplifying our suffering. Another factor is learned helplessness, a concept developed by psychologist Martin Seligman. Learned helplessness occurs when people repeatedly face uncontrollable adverse events and eventually stop trying to change their situation, even when opportunities for improvement arise. For instance, someone stuck in a toxic relationship might believe they are powerless to leave, despite having the resources to do so. This belief perpetuates their suffering, making them feel trapped in a cycle they can't escape. The good news is that these mechanisms can be unlearned. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for example, has been shown to effectively rewire negative thought patterns. A meta-analysis published in Clinical Psychology Review found that CBT reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety by teaching individuals to identify and challenge distorted thoughts. Additionally, mindfulness practices help create distance between you and your thoughts, allowing you to observe them without judgment. Imagine your thoughts as clouds passing through the sky. You don't have to grab onto everyone. Letting go of harmful narratives frees you from unnecessary suffering. Third, let's discuss how to actively choose not to suffer and build resilience. Choosing not to suffer doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging your struggles while refusing to let them define you. One powerful tool is reframing, a technique that involves shifting your perspective on challenging situations. For example, Instead of viewing a breakup as a personal failure, you could see it as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Reframing transforms obstacles into stepping stones, helping you move forward with purpose. Another effective strategy is gratitude. Research from the University of California, Berkeley, shows that practicing gratitude increases happiness and reduces stress. Start a gratitude journal where you write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. Over time, this simple habit rewires your brain to focus on the positive aspects of life, even during tough times. Gratitude acts like a flashlight in the dark. It illuminates what's still good, even when everything else feels bleak. Building a strong support system is also essential. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you, whether it's friends, family, or mentors. Studies show that social connections are one of the strongest predictors of resilience. When you're struggling, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a bridge to deeper relationships and healing. Finally, practice self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff, a leading researcher on self-compassion, defines it as treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a close friend. Instead of berating yourself for mistakes, acknowledge that imperfection is part of being human. Self-compassion reduces suffering by fostering a sense of safety and acceptance, even in difficult moments. By incorporating these strategies into your life, you'll gradually shift from a mindset of suffering to one of empowerment. Remember, suffering is optional, but breaking free requires intentionality and effort. Here's how you can apply the insights from this video to stop unnecessary suffering and take control of your mindset. Practice reframing your thoughts. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, is there another way to look at this? For example, instead of thinking, "I failed," reframe it as, "I learned something valuable." This simple shift reduces suffering by focusing on growth rather than defeat. Challenge cognitive distortions. Identify irrational thoughts that amplify your suffering. Use worksheets or apps like MoodKit to track and challenge these distortions. For instance, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'll never succeed," ask, what evidence supports this belief? Set boundaries around negative influences. Limit exposure to toxic people, environments, or media that fuel your suffering. Replace them with uplifting content, such as motivational books, podcasts, or videos. Focus on what you can control. Make a list of factors within your control and those outside of it. Concentrate your energy on actionable steps, like improving skills or seeking therapy, rather than dwelling on what you can't change. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge progress, no matter how minor. Whether it's completing a task or simply getting out of bed on a tough day, celebrate these victories to build momentum. By implementing these strategies, you'll gradually shift from a mindset of suffering to one of empowerment, creating a life filled with purpose and peace. To sum up, suffering isn't an inevitable part of life. It's a choice rooted in how we interpret and respond to challenges. By understanding the difference between pain and suffering, challenging cognitive distortions, and practicing tools like reframing, gratitude, and self-compassion, you can break free from unnecessary pain. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more insights on personal growth and mental health. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. How do you choose not to suffer? Remember, you have the power to rewrite your story. Start today and take the first step toward a happier, more fulfilling life.